way that it doesn't contradict the common use of the word God, also even according to Oxford Dictionary. So it's very complete. It's very universal. So we are not spreading a religion here. We don't want to convert people to Hinduism. There's no use in that. Krishna said there's no use in these confessional designations and sectarian way of seeing the world. It's quite useless. It doesn't help us in our spiritual advancement. But to actually understand more about God, to develop God consciousness as a universal, and a universal approach, that is very beneficial for people, because then they will try to become better human beings. And ultimately they understand more about the real nature as a self, and therefore they understand the others also better. If I'm a part and parcel of God, I'm spiritual, I'm superior form of energy, then why not the others also? And then why only the human beings? Why not the animals also? They also have feelings. Why mistreat the animals? Why exploit them and torture them as if they had no feelings? We cannot just say they have no soul. Who entitles you to do that? And where is it mentioned in the revealed scriptures of any religion? And the animals have no feeling. They have no heart, they have no soul. A dog will cry for weeks when the master is gone. Sometimes they die of starvation because they don't want to go away from the master after he's died. So they have no feeling. That is your concoction. It's not true. Because all the symptoms of life are there, so therefore they have a soul. Therefore these things have to be understood properly. And nobody is forcing, of course, anyone that they have to understand it. But if you do, if you are interested, we are offering that knowledge. And then all these problems will naturally be solved. Because the main problem for man is ignorance. Most problems that we have are based on ignorance. The real darkness is ignorance. The real problem is not these people are different from us, these different religions are there. Otherwise, if religion would be the problem, then why the atheists? They had so many horrible regimes like the former Soviet Union, Stalin, Hitler was atheist also. And so it's not religion itself that's bad, but it's a wrong understanding of religion. It's a very limited thing. So we have to understand that religion is very universal, and ultimately religion just means the law of nature, the laws that were given to us by God. And these laws are so perfect, nobody can surpass them. Not that because I'm Hindu, I will not die. Or if I eat something salty, I will get thirsty. That is just for Hindus, not for the Christians. Or when the grain grows, it is growing because of the rain. All types of food stuff growing because rain is coming. That is just Bhagavad Gita, because it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. No, Bhagavad Gita is very scientific, therefore it's explaining these things. So when we study more what is the actual nature of God, we will see, if we talk of God, we have to accept He is almighty, He's omnipotent. Because otherwise there would be no meaning to the word highest authority. That's what the Yamaduras inquire about in this word. That is just based on common logic and common sense also. So if you speak of God, then you must accept He's unlimited, almighty, like that. Otherwise not. Otherwise you can use another word. We don't say you have to believe it. Anyone has freedom of choice. By the will of God, nobody is forced to think or do anything. We have all the freedom. And God is given that. But if you use the word God, then you should accept the common definition of the word God. Otherwise we'll miss each other. Therefore we should agree on what is the definition of the word. Otherwise we talk about something else. So according just to a plain definition, God is almighty. And because He's almighty, He must be all-knowing. Otherwise His power would be very limited if there would be something He doesn't know. Because we say knowledge is might. In Germany at least, there's this saying, Wissen ist Macht. Heavy language, German, Wissen ist Macht. Knowledge is a real force. You are actually, not that just because you have some force, you have some machine guns, therefore you're right. Might makes right, that is not true. But you're right if you have knowledge and you understand it properly, then you may be right. And we can discuss also whether you're right or not. So if somebody has perfect understanding, perfect knowledge of things, then he can always outsmart all those who are ignorant or delusion. Therefore knowledge, education is the greatest treasure. And our movement, this Krishna conscious movement, is meant to give this timeless knowledge. We are educational movement. We are presenting this timeless knowledge of the soul, of the body, and whatever else exists, all the basic things are very nicely, very complete form, very nice form explained to you. Then when you accept that God is all-knowing, then you should also be able to very soon find out that in order to be all-knowing, He must be present everywhere, otherwise you wouldn't know everything. And that is the meaning of the word Vishnu. Vishnu means He's present everywhere. He's not just somewhere in heaven, and from time to time He's seeing what's going on. Has it gotten out of hand here? What's happening in this hell? Okay, I better forget. Take some rest. No, He's not that cruel, but He's actually present everywhere, in each atom. Paramanu Chayam Parastam. The Veda is so scientific, they even explain this, the smallest particle, the atom, this very, very small part of matter is there. That is very elaborately described in the Vedas, mentioned in Bhagavatam also. Paramanu, the smallest particle. And God is present in an expanded form in each of these particles. Therefore He's able to control and know everything. And not only in each atom, but where else God is present also. He's present yes. Yes. He's present in everyone's heart also. In your heart, our heart, and the heart of the little insect that's flying around. And by the grace of God, even that little insect, sometimes I watch a little mosquito, and has some intelligence, little fly has some intelligence. When you try catching the fly, we try to catch the fly, we don't want to kill the fly. We catch it and we let it fly out, because it has a right to live also. But sometimes when I try to catch the fly, it outsmarts me. It's so intelligent, it can sometimes outwit me, and I need half an hour to be able to catch it. Sometimes I don't catch it at all. It's a very clever fly. But it's such a tiny little fly, such a little brain, and we are so proud of our brain. But they are also being given intelligence by the mercy of God, who is residing in their heart. So by seeing things like that and seeing the wonderful aspects of nature, we can have a real appreciation for the wonderful nature of God. And then it becomes like a meditation. We don't just meditate on the little dot on the wall or whatever else, but we want to meditate on the source of everything that exists. And so God is present everywhere. He knows everything. And the good news is He is Suridam Sarvabhutanam. He is the kindest of all. He's an ocean of mercy. And He's a friend of each living being. But why then are we struggling? Why are we suffering? Because at one point we decided to forget about God. Therefore we are here. That's why we took birth here in this material world, although we're a spiritual living entity. And we are originally inhabitants of the eternal kingdom of God. And therefore we can then conclude also that it's natural for the living being to be eternal, to not die. Because nobody wants to die. If it would be natural for us to die, everyone would be happy to die. And most people are not happy. If they say, I'm sentenced to death, the whole world screams, they sentence him to death. Oh no, big protest, anxiety, like that. Why? Because it's not natural to die. We actually meant to live forever. That is the fact. But in this world, in this material body, we cannot stay. But in our eternal spiritual body, we are meant to stay forever. So these are some of the teachings we get from this beautiful work, Srimad Bhagavatam. It's called the Beautiful Bhagavatam. And Bhagavatam means the signs of God. That God consciousness is not just a matter of blind faith, I believe this, you believe this, and then we bang each other's head. That doesn't lead anywhere. But together we find out, we talk about like civilized human beings, and we meditate. What is God? What is the qualities? How is beauty is manifest everywhere? And then we find out God is alive, God is not dead. Of course, Nietzsche, again German philosopher, he said, he wrote a book, Even God is Dead. But before that he wrote a book philosophizing with a hammer, But you cannot philosophize with a hammer, just hammering on each other. And so he wrote a book, God is Dead. But now Nietzsche is dead. And God is still alive. And he still worshipped every day here at the temple. And we're having a good time. We actually feel great happiness in doing it. So therefore, in the previous word, the contrary of mrityu, or unhappiness, anxiety, or death, is amrita. Amrita means nectar. And amrita is that which will free us from death, which will actually make us realize our eternal nature that is full of knowledge, full of happiness. And that is our eternal natural condition. So God is ever inviting us to rejoin Him and enjoy with Him in the eternal kingdom of God. And this creation is not excluded, it's also part of the kingdom of God. But we are meant to be in this spiritual nature. Material nature is ever-changing, but for us it's natural to be eternal and full of happiness and filled with God consciousness. So we say Krishna consciousness because it's a very personal way of approach, but we can also say God consciousness. It's not that we say the other names of God and other religions are bad, they are also perfect names of God. And we respect any genuine and sincere form of religiosity. So that is the teachings the Yamadutas will by and by also receive. That God is actually not just a judge or a cruel person who just finds pleasure in punishing people. But God is actually a very, very dear friend to everyone, and He loves everyone. He loves you more than you can imagine, each and every one of you, forever. Whatever you do, God will love you. And He's just waiting for us to return to Him. But He'll never force us, because love cannot be forced. When we are tired of all this misery, we can turn to God and we'll become happy, and that is the Krishna consciousness movement. Therefore we are singing and dancing, because we feel very happy. Nobody is paying us for dancing. Nor did we take any dance lessons. So you don't have to feel shy and embarrassed. If you want to dance, you can dance. If you don't like dancing, that's also okay. You can dance in your heart also. It's very spontaneous, it's very liberal, and it's very free. So it's free of charge, and it's natural, and it's complete. So I said a lot of things. Normally we have question and answer part, but I think I almost overstretched our time now, because it's such a nice topic. So what do you think? I follow authority.
Not the authority.
Yeah? Oh, here's authority.
Normally the class will go on until 45, so there's still 10 minutes for question and answer.
Oh, till 45. So we may, maybe, but I cannot answer your question. So
yes, you can.
You're going to
I want to ask where were you at the time process disappears, and how did you experience that? Maybe tell them about that, if it's okay.
Yeah, this is very intimate, and so hard to speak about that. I don't feel also very qualified to speak about that. But I remember the day, if you ask when it was and where it was, the day I was in Schloss Reddersburg, the castle we have in the big temple there. And I'm not sure why usually I was out there traveling, preaching with devotees, but for some reason I was on the day in the temple. I was back, there were not many devotees. Most of them were out on Sunday time. And I was down in the hallway, and all of a sudden I noticed that some devotees were crying, and they had tears. Some devotees who had never seen crying, they were coming running up and down the stairs. So then I got the news. That was I usually tend more to remember just a few weeks before Prabhupada visited us for the last time in England, yeah, and we just came back from Sanditon. I think I had a Sanditon group for some time, short time. And we had a van, and we usually came back on Saturday, and so it was Saturday, and in the afternoon, and they told us Prabhupada came to England. He wants to see all of us, all his disciples. So we simply jumped into the van and just kept driving to England. And then we had a very nice association, very, very wonderful week, just with Prabhupada, 24 hours a day, practically speaking. 1 week in England with Prabhupada. That was very intense. I'm sure Manidhara Prabhu already told you about it. So there was what I remember when I think of Prabhupada's departure is actually more this week we had in England, because we received so much final instructions from him. And that somehow continues for me. It's not like it ever ended. It's like going on, and I'm still meditating on what he told us and what we experienced with him in that week. Because spiritual nature is not limited by time and space, so we feel like we're still like there. And it was like a big Sankirtan gathering also. So many Sankirtan devotees from England and Germany and a few from France and so on. It was very intense atmosphere. And we celebrated Prabhupada's Vyas Puja Day, which I like to remember more than Departure Day, of course, Disappearance Day. But also Disappearance Day, very important to remember. Because by the separation also you have to somehow redefine and re-establish your relationship with Prabhupada. So everyone reacted in a different way on that day. I could see that in a very personal way. And I just withdrew and started, I think it was the first time I told it to anyone. I just sat upstairs and started to chant the Brahma Samhita. That was like, I felt that's what I had to do. And thinking about Krishna Loka, like that. But it became more intense later when we went out with priests to other countries, like Arab countries, did some time in that work. Then actually the intensity increased, feeling reunited with Prabhupada once again in this place, because there was some pain of separation naturally. So, and that was mitigated by trying to somehow rather dive into these activities and feel really again, the presence of Prabhupada that night. And so for us it was very beneficial to remember the instructions, as is mentioned in Bhagavatam, when Arjuna felt very sad after Krishna left the planet. He again was reunited with him by remembering his teachings in Bhagavad Gita. So thank you very much. I don't want to keep you. You want to say something?
One question.
Yes.
That I understand that the system of punishment and war is there in the universe, and it can be quite heavy for the living entity for some time to undergo. But then I try to understand what happened during the Middle Ages when the Inquisition was implemented for 800 years.
Right.
And sometimes I saw these photos so extremely cruel.
Yeah.
Although these executors, they didn't follow any principle.
Yeah.
They were meat eating.
Even if they were, it was so cruel. But yeah.
So you can explain. You can explain a little bit on how it is possible in the name of God that this was accepted by the people and that they could do that.
That's what we just explained. If you just use it sentimentally, God, without actually any meditation of what actually the meaning is of the word God, you don't understand the merciful aspect of God. And you can do anything in the name of God, but it doesn't have any meaning. That doesn't mean it's God's word. It's actually your devilish separation, ignorance. So it's based on ignorance and fears. Usually these priests, they had complexes, like they would think that I'm attracted to some woman, so maybe she's a witch who's charming me, so they became very paranoid. she's the source of all evil, is a woman, and they are witches, and they have some and other things that are going wrong that they couldn't explain. But all these things are not recommended in the holy books of God, not even in the Bible. So then they torture them. There's a sign of where paranoia can lead you. Instead of looking into your own heart and seeing maybe it's just my own weakness and I'm so less eager to this or that, and I'm having this problem, I have some problem that have to do with me, they try to project it in other people. And at that time it was often women, but also people who had other beliefs that were not going along with the dogma of the church and things like that. But officially they were not as interesting, they were not actually the ones who were doing the torturing themselves. They just give their verdict that they are not following the Bible, and the local authorities, Mandarin authorities, took over and they started to torture. So they had clean hands, they said, we're not torturing. They knew there would be torture, but we're not torturing.
But sometimes we were sitting there with the cross.
Yes, and then sometimes actually priests started to also participate in it for the benefit of this. So we don't want to get into it too much, it's so horrible what was happening. Luckily that's over. They don't torture us, we're very happy now. Because we would also follow that category. We would also not follow the dogma, so the Inquisition would be after us. Luckily, in Germany it almost happened. The church was really after us in the 70s, and there was a lot of problems because we dressed like we sing and dance, and we dare to be happy in the name of God. So they would give us a hard time. But then later we talked to them, and we found out it was just based on their fear that we take away their followers. And they found we don't want to take away their followers, and we're not such a big group as they thought. So now they want to do business with India and the Western nations, and we're a very important part of Indian culture. So they're looking for dialogue, and we try to take away their fears and meet them. And now we're lucky they are not. The Inquisition doesn't exist, because otherwise we already be dead, So they can happen anywhere when people become fanatic. Fanatic means without knowledge, without understanding. And as I say, fascist type of communication means you don't see the pain of others, you just see yourself. I'm right. If you say that this is going on in the name of religion, so but therefore Krishna said, give up all these false types of religiosity, this confessional type of thing. I'm the only one who's right, everyone else will go to hell. And that's what God's will. That is kind of sub-religious. It is a kind of religion, but it's a very primitive form of religion. So you find in each religion, it's not now against one religion or something. In each religion you find some people who have a deeper understanding, more universal understanding, more kindness. Like Franz of Assisi. He had a very, Prabhupada visited that monastery in Italy, Franz of Assisi, in Assisi. And they invited him to speak about Krishna consciousness. And he inquired about their beliefs. That the Franciscans, originally, they also don't harm any animals, and they respect the plants and the nature, brother, moon, sister, sun, like that. It's a nice movie also about the life. It's called Brother, Moon, Brothers, I think Brother, Moon, Sister, Sun, or the other way. Very nice movie from the life of Franz of Assisi. You can see how peaceful and gentle soul he was. But then sometimes the external aspect of religion, the power is misused in the name of power, but they misuse anything in the name of power. That's not a fault of religion. But the so-called religion, what is religion? It means ultimately to develop God consciousness and appreciation for God's nature and all the creatures that are alive, and to develop the qualities of God conscious people, love and kindness, and mercifulness. But if you just go by the institution, my institution is right, my confession is right, Krishna says you better give all that. It's just name giving, It just separates us from each other. But just try to understand Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mamekam Sharanavaja. Just try to develop love of God. And if any system of religion helps you to develop love of God, we will always respect and appreciate it. And if it doesn't, If you, in the name of loving God, you think you have to punish everyone, like the Yamadutas think, no, they just have to punish. Now Yamaraj will actually correct them, tell them this is wrong. You cannot just go around punishing everyone. You have to use your discrimination. Of course, in a normal government, sometimes they have to punish people so they don't harm others. But that has to be used with as little violence as possible, according to the Vedas. To the degree of the offense, it has to be also reduced. Just like it is mentioned in Manu Samhita, if a woman does something, she's not punished as heavily as a man. She has some privilege because she has more responsibility. She's taking care of the children. So she's never punished as heavily as a man. But if a man, is supposed to lead the family or something, he does something where he's punished more heavily. And then to the degree of the offense, but only as much so that they can learn, that they have a chance to learn, not just that we just go around punishing. And this is our main duty also. So Kshatriya's main duty, the government's main duty is to protect people from being hurt. That is the main duty, that's all. So first you understand the basic principles, and then from that you deduct. If the others, inferior principles, contradict their basic principle, then this is useless, becomes useless. The main principle is this: we should be more kind, more loving, and we should protect each other. That is the main principle. Otherwise you can hang up in so many rules, regulations, and theological misunderstandings, and then it becomes fanatic. People become very emotional about it, and then they declare war to the half of mankind in the name of God, or based on ignorance. So therefore we think that the best contribution is to supply a little more universal understanding and more deeper understanding of these things, so that we don't lose as they say in Germany, you lose sight of the forest because of so many trees. Or as it said in the Bible also, you clean the bathing tub and you want to pour out the water, but you also pour out the child along with the water. So it should be, religion should be for the benefit and upliftment of people, not for for terrorizing people. Therefore, the basic understanding is that God is all merciful. And how He is all merciful, that we have to understand and study. Now we say He's all merciful, so even if we in His name we torture people, that's very merciful. Then you're redefining the word mercy. But we have to discuss these things. We come together as civilized human beings, like we do every morning. So sometimes I'm not just answering questions. You can also comment, because here are some very mature individuals. They can comment here. But now we actually stretch over time. I don't want to keep you waiting. So let us remember the Prabhupada's kindness and mercy. He saved us from so much craziness in this world, and hopefully we can contribute to make it a little better place. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai.